Da-da-da. Kalyani Ankita duo is back with gay quizzes. You know what, guys? After all the exams, people tell us, ma'am, your YouTube live helped. Ankita, you're
Yes.
also doing great work. Without me, also, you are doing now. Proud of you because you are helping hundreds of people. Wonderful. Dear friends, how was your day? Did you have a good time? Are you ready for some questions? Here is the first one. Oh, ye kaun hai? Tough question, Ankita. Koi nahi, we'll see.
Yeah.
Difference and repetition. A work which investigates the metaphysics of difference and repetition is by Alan Badiou. Kaun hai wo? Andre Bergson, Giles Deleuze, and Felix Guattari. I never heard of Alan Badiou. All the others I've heard. Maybe Alan Badiou is the answer. What do you say, Ankita?
It's by Giles Deleuze. It is one of his most important works where he critiques the idea of repetition and difference in Western metaphysics.
Wow, Giles Deleuze. We only thought he talked about rhizome, he talked about minor literature. He has done other things also. Tonight itself, you two babies and me are going to read about Giles Deleuze and Felix Guattari. What do you say? Everybody ready? Because in GATE, they might ask this question about Giles Deleuze, difference and repetition. He's a very important Marxist philosopher and he worked with Felix Guattari. And if you read up extra, you will get a lot of things about them. Okay? All right. Now, choose the wrong statement about new historicism. Ye bolo. It is a critical approach that developed in the 1980s. Correct? Hai? Huh. Mainly through the work of Stephen Greenblatt. I think that's right. It was heavily influenced by Foucault's analysis of power. Yes, it emerged as a reaction against new criticism, structuralism, deconstruction. These approaches privilege only the literary texts. They place secondary importance to historical texts. New historicism is not like that. Correct. This approach prioritizes the formalistic and aesthetic elements only in the text is wrong. They look at the history, not only the formalistic and aesthetic elements. And Ankita?
Yes, option 4 is wrong.
Okay. Our friends, some of them might be typing something in the chat box in YouTube. As you know, I cannot do live and this together because of my eyesight. Please look at the chat box and reply. If there is something important, we will reply.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, so that is wrong. They talk not only about formalistic and aesthetic elements in the text. The term borrowed from Einstein's theory of relativity refers, what is that term? It refers to the intrinsic connectedness of temporal and spatial relationships that are artistically expressed in literature. Ankita, is it a term associated with Bakhtin?
Yes, this term is associated with Bakhtin and his
Is it
theory of the novel.
and yeah, his theory of the novel. Is it ambivalence? Is it heterotopia? Heterotopia is Foucault's, not Bakhtin's. Chronotope, I think, is the answer. Borderland. No, that is not by Bakhtin at all. So, Ankita, is it chronotope?
Yes, it is chronotope.
Guys, Ankita is the authority. She says chronotope. It must be right. Let us see. Ta-da-dang! Yes, it is. Oh, this is Mikhail Bakhtin. Great. Ankita, you can read the next one.
Okay. Dash was the earliest exponent of the Rasa school. So who was it? Bharata, Abhinavagupta, Anandavardhana, or Vishwanatha? So one of them was the earliest one to talk about this Rasa school. It was actually Bharata Muni who talked about the 9 rasas.
Yes, it is easy. Bharata's Natya Shastra. All right. These others, Some of them are commentators on Bharata, some of them associated with Dhwani school and other schools of aesthetics. Please look up these writers. Sanskrit aesthetics, Sanskrit poetics, very important for our exams. Okay. Which among the following is not a dream allegory? Is it The Pilgrim's Progress, Pious Plowman, Hudibras, News from Nowhere? Pilgrim's Progress definitely is. Pious Plowman is depicting the dreamer will. I think it is.
Yes.
News from Nowhere, I have heard it is dream allegory. I think Hudibras is the answer.
Yes. Hudibras is not a dream allegory. It's a verse satire by Samuel Butler.
Correct. Hudibras is a verse satire. Gita, please read.
Who among the following introduced the concept of organic unity, the idea that in any good work of art, each of the parts must contribute to the overall success of the whole? So who talked about it? Plato, Aristotle, Horace, or Ovid? He also said like in a biological organism, each part of our body must contribute equally to our well-being. Same is the case with any work of art. There also each part must contribute equally to its overall structure and its greatness. So who talked about this idea of organic unity?
Ankita, you know one thing, you two babies and me, हम तो पहचानते हैं आंसर और इस पिक्चर को भी. It is Aristotle.
Yes.
Oh, Aristotle is looking at us like that.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Aurora Leigh. It is her famous work. It is an example of what? Is it a short story? Is it a verse novel, poetic drama, or epistolary novel? You two babies, what do you think? Aurora Leigh she wants to be a poet. She's in love with Romney, but she goes away, tries to establish a career as a writer. Finally, she meets Romney again. It is a verse novel. Aurora Leigh by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Okay. When I had concealed my caste, Jeevacha Maji, something like that. One title is there, Marathi. I don't know. Sorry, I mispronounced. And it is a collection of stories. Is it Sharan Kumar Limbale, Om Prakash Valmiki, Baburao Bagul, or Vasant Moon? Dalit. Today only I met Bama ma'am and had a lecture on subaltern voices. When I had concealed my caste. What do you think, YouTubers? It is Baburao Bagul, translated by Jerry Pinto. Sharan Kumar Limbale wrote towards the Dalit aesthetics and also Akkarmashi. Om Prakash Valmiki wrote Jhutan. Vasant Moon, growing up untouchable in India. Yes. Ankita, your turn.
One evening of late summer, before the 19th century had reached 1/3 of its span, a young man and woman, the later carrying a child, were approaching the large village of Weydon Priors in Upper Wessex on foot. This is the opening line of which novel of Hardy? The Return of the Native, Jude the Obscure, The Mayor of Casterbridge, or Far from the Madding Crowd?
I know, because I have read this novel and taught this novel also. The young man is the 21-year-old Michael Henchard, and the woman is Susan. The child is Elizabeth Jane, who dies. Yes. It is the Mayor of Casterbridge. The Wheel of Fire, chang, 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 Wheel of Fire, is a major work of Shakespearean criticism. You know, the chakra of life, kind of. Is it Elsie Knight's, Caroline Spurgeon, G. Wilson Knight, or A.C. Bradley? It is G. Wilson Knight. Elsie Knight wrote How Many Children Had Lady Macbeth? Caroline Spurgeon wrote Shakespeare's Imagery. A.C. Bradley wrote Shakespearean Tragedy. Ankita, your turn.
In the context of the reader response theory, Louisa M. Rosenblatt, in her essay, The Poem as Event, considers that the reader should dash, and it's a PYQ. So what is the role of the reader while reading a poem? Participate in a transaction with the text, act against a text, be acted upon by the text, or reject the text?
Our students of GATE course will find it easy because I taught them Louise M. Rosenblatt is associated with transactional theory. She is a transactional theorist in reader response criticism. So wherever the word transaction is there, use it. That is the answer.
Yes.
Easy. Okay. So Louise M. Rosenblatt, transactional theory. Which of the following books is considered as one of the sources behind T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland? That's also PYQ. William James's Principles of Psychology? Nah. Jesse Western's From Ritual to Romance? Yes. Franz Kafka's The Metamorphoses? No. Sigmund Freud's Interpretation of Dreams? No. The Wasteland is based on Jesse Western's From Ritual to Romance, James Fraser's The Golden Bough, then Richard Wagner's Gotterdammerung and Tristram and Isolde. So many works. And Ankita?
Yes.
Your turn.
Which work among the following is an example of historiographic metafiction? So this historiographic metafiction, this term was actually coined by Linda Hutcheon, and it refers to any work of fiction which also includes history and theory and metafictionality.
And
so which
postmodern treatment of history.
Yes. So which work is it? The French Lieutenant's Woman by John Fowles, Kim by Rudyard Kipling, and Veronica by H.G. Wells, or Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence? Which among this is an example of historiographic metafiction?
It is The French Lieutenant's Woman. Now, I saw some of you say in the chat box earlier, I said lieutenant and Ankita said lieutenant. Both are right. Lieutenant is British, lieutenant is American. The French Lieutenant's Woman by John Fowles is set in the Victorian period, and it shows Sarah Woodruff, a woman who is pretending to be a whore. She's pretending to be a Frenchman's mistress. She was actually a virgin, and she is rejecting and resisting against gender stereotypes of the Victorian period. She's a rebellious woman who throws away her life because she does not care for what the society thinks. Wow, what a powerful woman character. You should watch the movie, guys. Meryl Streep has done an amazing job. Okay, the term écriture féminine was proposed by the French feminists Dash in The Laugh of the Medusa. Is it Julia Kristeva, Monique Wittig, Elaine Sisou, or Simone de Beauvoir? The Laugh of the Medusa is a very important work by Elaine Sisou. Ankita, isn't it Elaine Sisou who talked about white ink? Breast milk, is she termed white ink?
Was it Sandra Gilbert and Susan Guba in The Mad Woman in the Attic?
I think it is Elaine Sisou.
Okay. Achha. I might have got confused with Gilbert and Guba.
We are all getting confused sometimes, but that's normal. You don't want to make you think that we all know everything and we are all perfect. It's not like that. I don't know many things. I get confused. I forget. We are all the same. But
I think, yes, it is Sisu who talked about the body.
Yes.
There's emphasis on the body. Yes.
We're all the same. If we revise a lot, if we keep remembering, we will be able to answer. That's all. Okay. Set in India at the turn of the millennium, The Alchemy of Desire is a passionate love story of a young couple. This man was a journalist. He was associated with Tehelka. Who is it? Is it Amish Tripathi, Tarun Tejpal, Vikas Swarup, or Upamanyu Chatterjee? It is Tarun Tejpal who wrote The Alchemy of Desire. Okay, Ankita, your turn.
What is common among the following novels? And it's a PYQ. Cormac McCarthy's The Road, George Orwell's 1984, and Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. These are examples of utopian fiction. These are examples of dystopian fiction. They present an idealistic picture of the world, or they abound in pleasant descriptions of landscapes, peoples, and places.
D is absolutely wrong. It's quite the opposite in the novels.
Yeah.
They are examples of dystopian fiction. Right. Dystopia is against utopia. Utopia is ideal place. Dystopia is quite the opposites. Okay. Who among the following talked about the anxiety of authorship in the 19th century women writers? Is it Virginia Woolf, Sandra Gilbert, and Susan Gubar, Elaine Showalter, or Charlotte Perkins Gilman? Ankita, we knew that you got confused between Helene Sissou and Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gubar. That is why we are giving you this question. Ankita, tell us the answer.
Yes, it is Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gubar who talked about this idea of anxiety of authorship in 19th century women writers in their work, The Mad Woman in the Attic.
It is the feeling that, oh, this is a man's job to write a book. It is
Yes.
not my job. That
Yeah.
feeling is anxiety of authorship. Ankita, your turn.
Who said that studies serve for delight, for ornament, and for ability? Sir Philip Sidney, Spencer, Ben Jonson, or Francis Bacon? So it's very apparent here. We can see the essay of studies, and it's an essay by Francis Bacon.
Very good. A Horse and Two Goats and Other Stories is a collection of short stories by Mulkraj Anand, R.K. Narayan, Raja Rao, or Bhabani Bhattacharya. It is by R.K. Narayan.
And this question was asked in net also this time. Like, who wrote this collection of short stories?
Oh, dear friends, look up the collections by these people. Very important. Okay, Ankita, your turn.
Which among the following is an epistolary novel? You know, the novel which has been written through letters. The Color Purple, Beloved, To Kill a Mockingbird, or The Catcher in the Rye. One of these novels has been written as letters by Seeley.
And there are only two sentences in the novel, the first two sentences that are not written inside the letters. Everything else is written by Seeley in her letters. It is in The Color Purple by Alice Walker. In Plato's idea of the republic, there is no place for the dash. Lawyer, magistrate, politician, poet. Ankita, you got to help us. You two babies and me don't know.
It is a poet. He said poets should be banished from the republic.
In the last book, Republic, book 10.
Book 10.
And altogether, it is 10 books. Okay, Ankita, your turn.
Who wrote the introduction to Rabindranath Tagore Gitanjali? T.S. Eliot, Ezra Pound, W.H. Auden, or W.B. Yeats? This poet was very obsessed with occult, and he wrote this introduction.
If you look closely, guys, you can see the answer here.
Yes.
W.B. Yeats.
Yes.
Ankita, everybody appreciates your Bengali pronunciation. Do you know any lines from Tagore that you can recite or something?
Not by memory. I have to, look up and read.
Okay. Or say something in Bengali, something that people would like.
Okay, so শ্রী রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুরের গীতাঞ্জলি 1923 সালে নোবেল পুরস্কার পেয়েছিল।
Say that W.B. Yeats wrote Introduction to Gitanjali.
Okay. গীতাঞ্জলির এই
introduction.
I don't know. Introduction লিখেছিলেন W.B. Yeats. I don't know the Bengali of introduction.
Yes. Tell in Bengali, the YouTube babies, if you study well, you will surely pass this time.
হ্যাঁ, তোমরা যদি খুব ভালো করে পড়ো, তোমরা নিশ্চয়ই গেট পরীক্ষা পাস করবে।
I like it. I like it. So that brings us to the end of this Bengali, to the Bengali end of this live on GATE questions. I hope you liked everybody. Ankita has blessed you. If you study well, you will pass all your exams. So study well, because we want to make Ankita's blessing come true. Okay, bye-bye. Good night. Love you all.